Hi there, I'm Virginia Lindsay of Ginger Cake Patterns and Design, and today I'm going to show you how to make this cute little gift basket. I made this one for my mother-in-law today for Mother's Day. I bought her these little things and I'm going to kind of keep adding to it this week. But I wanted to put them in something cute to carry it and then that she could reuse. So I made this quick little fabric basket, and it's a 7 by 7 little easy box, and it took me like 30 minutes or even less if I hadn't had to think about the measurements. And so I thought this would be a great thing to share with everybody. Okay, so I have 3 pieces of fabric here. I have this bright yellow duck cloth that is from Joann's, and it's kind of a nice stiff duck cloth, unwashed, and sometimes I use that. I like to use it for linings of bags and things, and it's good for this project. It gives a little extra weight. You don't have to use duck cloth though. You could use quilting cotton and use a second layer of stabilizer. So I have all 3 of these pieces measure 28 inches by 11 inches. And so I have this piece, and then I have a piece of quilting cotton, and then I have a piece of this stabilizer by Pellon, and you can see what it is right there. And I really like it. It gives a little bit more body than the fusible interfacing I've been using for so many years, and it does well in this project. So the first thing we're going to do, the first very easy step, is just make this piece of fabric into a tube. Fold it right sides together, and we're going to sew right along here. And then we're going to sew the lining also right along here to make 2 tubes. Okay, so I sewed those sides, and you can see that seam right here. And then what you do is you open the tube up and center that seam. Instead of having it on the end like where you sewed it on the end, you want to have it here in the center. So once you do that, you get it nice in the center, then you can pin and sew across the bottom here. So it'll look like this. So I went ahead and I sewed across the bottom also. So now it's kind of a closed bottom, and the seam is right up the middle. So that's pretty easy to do, very simple, just a couple lines. The next thing that you're going to do is go ahead and cut out the corners to make that nice boxy bottom. And this is going to be a 3 by 3 block you're cutting out. Now, but also you have to deal with this, because you already made this seam right here. You're going to actually make it, it's going to be 3 1/4 by 3, because you're starting the 3 inches right here at the seam you sewed. You can see that more closely. I'll show you right here. This is the seam, the line of the seam you just sewed to close the bottom, and it goes up 3 inches and then over 3 inches. So it's actually 3 1/4 total. And mark that. You don't have to use a water soluble or disappearing ink. You can just use a pencil, because this is on the interior and nobody's going to notice. So I'm going to do that on all 4 corners and then cut them out with my scissors. Okay, now all 4 corners are cut out, the 3 1/4 inch corners. And what you're going to do is turn the lining right side out and insert it inside the exterior piece. Have those seams line up. I think that just looks a little bit better. See how the seams are lining up right there, and right there? And then I'm using these clips by Evergreen Art Supply that I really love. Thank you so much to Evergreen for sending these clips to me. I'm going to be doing some more projects with them in the future, but they do such a better job of holding things together and just go all around the outside here, and these 2 pieces should fit together really nicely. And once you have them all pinned together, you're going to sew the entire circumference of this with your sewing machine. And then after that, we're going to deal with our corners. Okay, now you have the the piece is sewn together and it should look like this. The lining's on the inside, right sides are facing, and the next thing you do is you simply pull these two apart so it looks like this. You have your piece that looks like this. And the next step we're going to do is we're going to attach these two, we're going to sew these boxy corners. And I like to sew them together at once so that your lining and your exterior are really well matched together. So I'm going to use my clips again. I think the clips are really great for this. Keep that closed. So I did the lining one right there. I clipped it open and then open this side up. Open up that seam. And you're going to pull it together just like this. So the seams are on the outside and the smooth part is on the, you're kind of sandwiching it together. And use the clip, or pins work here. Also, I've used pins many times to do this. Hold it together like this. So you can see how that looks. Then we're going to take the other and do the other side too. First the lining, hold it open with the clip. Then switch over to this side and again you're kind of closing in the smooth and you have these seams on the outsides. You're making this funny little shaped sandwich. It looks just like this. A couple more clips on these edges right there and right here. So your piece should look like this at this point. This is the exterior side and this is the lining side. And we're going to take it over to the machine and sew right along this edge here and this edge here. Okay, so I sewed those two edges together and now this is what it looks like. This is going to be one boxy corner and this is the other one, and you should have it should look just like this at this point. It's a funny shape, I know. But next, so you'll probably notice that I didn't leave a space for turning and opening before, and that's because I kind of like doing it after. I know this is a little unconventional, but I find it faster just to take my seam ripper and make a little hole right here. I make it about 4 inches long, and then all you have to do is just push everything out through that hole. And then like magic, you'll suddenly see that you have a little basket. But we still have a little bit more work to do. I have to, now we're going to close up that opening. You see that big, there's a gap, right? See it right there? So all I'm going to do is pull that opening out, take it back to my sewing machine, and top stitch it closed right along here with about an 1/8 inch seam allowance. And then the next thing you're going to do is press it really well. So open it up and kind of roll with your fingers all along this edge and press, and you'll get a really nice crisp edge to your basket. And I'll be right back to show you my finished basket. Okay, so I just finished up my basket. I pressed it really well and I sewed that little opening closed, and I think it turned out beautifully. I really like how this duck cloth from Joann's, which is pretty thick, how it makes the basket nice and sturdy. And you can see that it's kind of a cube shape, but still has some flexibility to it. And then you can easily turn over the edge if you want to get that kind of cuff look. And I think it turned out great. You can see the inside, and it's really, really pretty. So I hope you get to make one for your mom or your mother-in-law or for your friends or sisters or whoever for Mother's Day. It would also make great for baby gifts, all sorts of fun stuff. So let me know if you have any questions, and otherwise, happy sewing. Hopefully you'll get a lot of use out of this. Happy Mother's Day.